Hello. I hope that you can hear me. Give me a second over here. If you can't hear me, please let me know. We've had quite a few technical difficulties this morning, and I am again back talking about life mastery, sharing my story. Things happen. Okay, apparently you can hear now. All right, great. Give me 1 second. So, my plan was to use more fancier technology. But apparently, this was not to be. So now what happens when you do everything right and it just doesn't work out? You just keep trying and you keep trying until you finally get it right. So I apologize for, these technical difficulties, so to speak. I was trying to use some, like I said, fancier technology and everything, but hey, sometimes the fancy technology doesn't work out and you have to go back to your old-fashioned ways. And it's okay. The whole point is, well, now I'm talking to myself, is not to get discouraged, because I know there'll be people who joined at 10 and all that, waiting and in anticipation. But this is something that I could not have anticipated. Again, my apologies. We did test and everything was supposed to be fine, but when it came to the time for it to work, it just didn't. So I'm going to be talking. Oh my goodness. I feel very flustered right now, but I'm just going to go for it. So, like I said before, which nobody heard. First of all, no one could hear. Then the videos weren't showing and my webcam just kept shutting down and shutting down and shutting down. But you know what? Enough about the fall. Now it's time to rise. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life Mastery, sharing my story. So I'm going to be sharing my story, as well as introducing a new product that I've created for launch today. So now, first of all, like I was saying, I keep saying like I was saying, because I've said this about 3 times already, but it's okay. I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor. I'm an author. I'm a life coach and a speaker. Now, as I was saying before, I went to medical school in Nigeria, and I went to the University of Ibadan where I studied medicine, graduated in 2001. After that, I left Nigeria and then went to England, where I studied, where I worked for 3 years. 1.5 of those years was clinical work, was non-clinical work, and I worked for a doctor in their office, and the other part was clinical work. So after that, I got married. A year later, I moved to the States to join my husband. After about a year or so of being in the States, I entered a residency program. Residency is postgraduate medical education in the U.S. And I did that, and I started practicing as an outpatient internal medicine doctor. So that's adults only, no kids, no pregnant women, gynecological stuff or anything like this. Adults, the asthma, the liver disease, kidney disease, diabetes, heart disease, I was your gal, the Maytag repair woman. Generally the Maytag repair woman of adults. So from there, on the 23rd of December 2016 was the last day I saw a patient. And now I do life and lifestyle coaching, author coaching, and physician consulting. Now, people are like, oh, wow, that's, life, being a doctor is definitely more lucrative than being a life coach, yada, yada. Yeah, it is. But you know what? This is about destiny, it's about purpose, it's about calling, and just, living the life that you want to live without being in a box, so to speak. So, I'm also an author. How did I come to be an author? So I haven't been to school for writing. No, I haven't. But what I lack in studying, I make up for in sheer decades of experience. I've been writing since I was 5 years old. And a lot of people say, oh, they've been doing this since they were a kid. They've been doing it since they were a kid. I've been writing more or less consistently since I was 5 years old. There were a few times when, a few years here and there where I didn't really do much public writing, but I've pretty much written all my life. When I was a kid, I used to write poetry and songs, and at the age of 11, I wrote my first chapter book. However, it was never published, and all the writings from my childhood are now lost to antiquity. Anywho, moving along, I wrote. Then when I didn't write too much in high school because I was going through some issues then, and probably talk a little bit about that later on in the broadcast. But when I got to medical school, college, I started writing again. I used to write for what we call the press boards. We would write articles and then pin them up. People would come and read them. And I became an editor, associate editor, and assistant editor of 2 press clubs. So a lot of writing, a lot of editing, a lot of just a lot of being immersed in that writing world. And it was for me. It was I wrote as an escape. I wrote as a way to share my thoughts, and it was great to see people motivated, blessed, encouraged, and just enjoying my writings. So here we are. You're welcome, Sister Tammy. Here we are now. I've been writing. I'm in college. I've been doing all this writing. So after I graduated, again, there was a lull because I didn't really have much to write for. I was just writing for myself. I would write a few poems. I would journal, but it wasn't really consistent. Fast forward to my second year of residency was when I wrote my very first book. This book has since gone on to become #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's called His Delight, 31 Days of Praise and Worship. And I literally wrote myself out of it. I'm not going to say depression as in clinical depression, but there was a time of my life where I was really, really down. And, I needed to reconnect with God, and, and I needed to reconnect with my writing. And by writing that book, I wrote myself up, as it were, and to the glory of God, the book is published. It's being enjoyed all over the world. People, I get reviews from it all the time. People tell me it's a great book, and I wrote it as a way for me to reconnect with God, and of course, I ended up sharing it with the world, and through that book, people are reconnecting with God as well. So since then, I've written 3 more books. So I have 4 books in print and 2 books in the works. One of those 4 books is a book called Staying Married I wrote with my husband, and we're actually co-writing another book now. I'm not going to give you any details of that just yet, so it's coming. And I also have another book that I've written for children, and that too is going to be released this year. So that's my evolution as a doctor, evolution as an author. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is Life Mastery, and I'm sharing my story of how I became to do what I do, and some of the things I do, and be able to help others and bless others. So last but not the least, I'm going to talk about my evolution as a life coach and a public speaker, and how I kind of got into the so-called self-help industry, as it were. When I was in high school at the age of 15, somebody introduced me to a book titled Tough Times Never Last, But Tough People Do by Robert Shola. Now, Robert Shola of blessed memory was a pastor, a motivational speaker as well, and where his writing revolutionized my thinking about Christianity. Now, I was 15 years old. I was a Christian, a practicing Christian. However, the Christian literature that I was exposed to was books like Prepare for War and Delivered from the Powers of Darkness, which were kind of, let me just put it this way, I didn't relate. Because those talked more about people who had escaped from, the occult world and witchcraft practices and things like that, which I really couldn't relate to. I mean, however, when I encountered Tough Times Never Last, But Tough People Do, oh my goodness, my thinking went to a whole different level. It encouraged my faith in a very holistic manner. I realized that, being spiritual wasn't all about just, so to speak, fighting demons, as it were, that you could actually apply it to your life. And, a lot of the principles in Tough Times Never Last, But Tough People Do are really, really great ones and very, very practical. So this gave me a real practical approach to Christianity. And, it's been great. Now, in 1997, I felt inspired to teach people how to live balanced lives. I I didn't know what it was, but I knew. I mean, I was in medical school. I knew there was more to life than just, oh, here, take a pill. I knew there was more to life than, oh yeah, just go pray about it and don't do anything else. So where was everything, where was the place where everything came together in terms of finding solutions to life's challenges? And now I'm going to be talking about the balanced life and what it is and everything you see. This group is titled Balance with Dr. Shola. What is the balanced life and what is it all about? And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. I'm going to be talking about right now. So the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23, may God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? Kenneth Hagin of blessed memory said, man is a spirit, has a soul, and lives in a body. I'm going to add a little caveat to this. Man is a spirit, has a soul, lives in a body, and is surrounded by community. You can be all that on a bag of chips, but if your associations are bad, or if your associations are the wrong ones, you're not going anywhere. So from that came the 5 pillars of balance. Hey, Psalmist Lois, you joined us. You're right on time. Earlier on, we had some technical difficulties, but thank you so much for people who are still hanging in there. Thank you very much. Now, from this comes the 5 pillars of balance. Now, the Bible talks about spirit, soul, and body, right? So spirit, the spiritual. Soul, that's where you have the mental and the emotional realm. Body, of course, body, that's self-explanatory. And community is where you have the relational realm. So the 5 pillars of balance are as follows: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and relational. Live a balanced life and you will live a fulfilled life. Live a balanced life and everything else will fall into place. You have to take it of your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical needs, as well as your relationships around you. And then you can build on that. You can build anything onto. If you look at successful people today, most of them are living a balanced life in some way or the other. They may not say it, they may not articulate it, they may have stumbled on it by accident, but that's what it is. The balanced life is not just a moment. It's not just, oh, it's a Dr. Shola thing. It's a movement. It's the way to live. So this is how the balanced life came about. It's like I said, 5 pillars: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and relational. And in subsequent broadcasts, I'm really going to be unpacking the balanced life. So that brings me to the launch today. And if you go over to bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery, you will be able to download the product, and it's an audio. It will bless you immensely. You will enjoy it. And I'm going to be sharing some of these tips from the audio in this broadcast. Thank you, Psalmist Lois. This is Life Mastery. 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. And these are things that are experiential. These are things that work. I didn't just pull them off the internet. These are things I do. These are things I live. So, it's a lot in there. So you may have to listen to it over and over again, to get some things, or you may have to listen, stop, make some notes, and that sort of thing. That's the kind of product that it is. bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery. So if someone can type that in the comments, bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery. With the fancy technology I was trying to use before, I would have been able to type it in myself, but guess what? Our fancy technology is not working today. Welcome, Sister Juliet. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about the balanced life and introducing the product. If you go over to bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery, you will be able to download it for yourself for purchase. Now, I will leave comments after the broadcast, I will leave it in the comments as well. So you can always just come back and click on it, or if someone can type that in for me. So now I'm going to share another story from my life as well, because this is called Life Mastery, sharing my story. And we are not, as human beings, we're not just the product of one story, right? We're the product of many, many little stories, many, many life lessons, and many, many experiences. So I'm going to be sharing another story from my life. You will not believe it, but at one point, a long, long time ago, I'm not going to tell you when, I had serious issues with low self-esteem. I just recall one day, I was sitting down thinking, and I couldn't think of anything good about myself. Isn't that weird? And on the average, if you ask people, so what do you like about yourself? I couldn't think of anything. So I don't know, somewhere I realized that, that can't be right. And then I started to think of all the people around me, and I realized that, thank you very much, Sister Tammy, bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery. And I realized that this wasn't right. So I looked at my friends. In my mind, all my friends were better than me, smarter than me, richer, more beautiful, more attractive, nicer looking, name it, and my friends were better than me. So I'm like, wait a minute, this can't be right. So this brings me to point number 8 of the 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. Love yourself. Revelation. Some people don't love themselves. And so here's the thing, I'm glancing from side to side because I've written this stuff down. And the reason why I write is so that I don't wander off track. I'm a person who likes to talk. I like to speak. I like to write. So I will wander off and ramble off. And, I know you guys have a lot of things to do. And thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday morning. I'm so excited to see everyone here. But so I'm glancing because I've written some stuff down to keep myself on point. So, self-love is not selfish. You need to learn to see yourself as God sees you. The Bible says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, O Lord. That means you are marvelous. Nice, huh? Neat. Self-love comes when you make peace with God. Self-love comes when you forgive your own imperfections. Self-love comes when you are kind to yourself. Self-love comes when you don't beat yourself over the head for your imperfections. Yeah, hallelujah. Self-love comes when you stop comparing yourself to others. Guess what happens when we compare ourselves to others? We always compare ourselves to the other people's strong points. So for example, I am somebody who I write very well, but I'm not athletic. So it would be silly of me to compare myself to some athletic person. Oh my God, look how they can run, look how they can jump, look. Me, I'm not athletic. I exercise for health reasons only. If I didn't have to, I probably wouldn't. I know I shouldn't be telling you guys that, right? But honestly, exercise is not my favorite thing to do. I do it like one of my friends said, I just do it like medicine. I do it like medicine so that I can keep healthy. Not because I love any kind of athletic thing. Running. Are you kidding me? Yes, I run, but man, it's not really because I like to run. It's like, why am I running? Who's chasing me and who am I chasing? Anyway, so if I compared myself to someone with all this athletic ability, of course I'm going to fall short because athleticism is not my thing. We compare our own weaknesses to other people's strength. So we need to stop comparing ourselves with others. If you compare yourself with others, you won't find any self-love. Is that same goes for most of us? Yeah. Who likes to exercise, right? But hey, you just have to do it. So learning to love myself was a process that came full circle shortly after. Hi, Sister Bola. Shortly after I became, shortly after I met my husband. Well, he wasn't my husband, my friend then. Thank you so much if you are joining. We just finished talking about the balanced life and the 5 pillars of balance. And we're now talking about self-love, which is point number 8 from 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. So I started working on myself. When I realized, there's something about life, you have to be self-introspective. And it's never too early or too late to start training yourself like that. Think, I like to say, think about what you think about. Okay, so I was working on, I would look up scriptures, talk about God's love, etc., etc. And then I started to pay attention to objective evidence around me. So for example, people used to tell me I was humorous. That's something I never heard before. Me humorous, what do you think? I'm a funny man? I'm not humorous, I'm a nerd. I just read my books all day and study and all that. If one person tells you are humorous, the next person tells you are witty, the next person tells you are funny, the next person laughs at something you said, were they all lying? No. a lot of times we see things in front of us and we just disbelieve them because, oh my God, we can't believe it. Me, funny? Fine, you won't find me doing stand-up comedy, but yeah, I do have kind of a quirky sense of humor. So I started to realize, okay, yeah, people are saying I'm humorous. What else? You know, people are saying, oh, you're very confident. When you go into a room, you know, you light up the room, you talk to, Shola, you can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter if they're a small child or a 90-year-old. So these are, I started to pay attention of, and that made me realize what my strengths were, and that encouraged me on the journey to self-love, you know. So and I said I kept a story aside about when I first met my husband. Of course, like I say, it wasn't my husband, it was just my friend. I met this guy. You know, when I met him, honestly, it wasn't, yeah, I mean, he was just like one quiet guy. But as I got to know him, I was like, oh my God, he's so cool. He's so calm. He's so gentlemanly. Oh my goodness. And he would, you know, he would talk quietly, even till now. We make fun of that. Speak up, speak up. Then he would look at you and say, that's how I talk. Speak up, speak up. He talks quietly. His voice is always modulated. He's very calm, unperturbed by anything. Me, on the other hand, excitement story. Me. Anywhere I go, I carry excitement with me. When I walk into a room, I'm like, hey, where's the food at? You know, my husband is not like that. He's the complete opposite. And I'm as zany and as hyper excitable as they come. Hello. But guess what? When I met this guy, I was like, oh my God, he's so, why can't I be calm like him? Why can't I be cool like him? He always knows what to say. Hey, my goodness. And he's so quiet. And he's so, bone story. My friend, this guy was not looking for somebody like himself. That was what, so all these things started sort of coming to me, and I realized that, look, there's nothing wrong with you. Excitement works. Yes, I know. My fellow excited sisters, the Juliet. You should see the two of us together. Especially on a dance floor. So I started to realize that he wasn't looking for someone like himself, and he liked me because of the kind of person I was. So that's when so putting everything, there's like, there's nothing wrong with you. The Bible says you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Another thing is that if I heard ladies who were very soft-spoken, oh my goodness, I loved it. I still love it anyway. So like, I have this client who I just love to listen to her talk because she's so soft-spoken. Her voice is so mellifluous. And I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like she's singing. But before, I would want to be like that. And for like 3 minutes, I would force myself into that box. And after a while, look, my voice is loud. My voice is strident. I have a weird accent to most people, but oh well, there it is. And now, and guess what? I like my voice. I like my accent, my strange, everybody finds my accent strange. Nigerians find it strange. English people find it strange. The Guyanese find it strange. The Americans find it strange. Oh, well, that's just the way it is. I'm not soft-spoken, mellifluous, perfectly accented. But, this me. So what am I saying all that to say to you? Love yourself. There's a reason why you have the qualities that you have. And the more you start to see those things, the more you start to, the Bible says, Paul said, I magnify my office. That to me, that means that I esteem highly the gifts and the graces that God has placed on me. Not I magnify my office. It doesn't mean you have an office and you make it bigger. That's not what it's talking about. That the things that God has given, the graces, I esteem them highly because they're there for a reason. Whoa, Sister Juliet. So, learning to love myself was a process, and if you are anywhere in that journey, you can start to it just starts by being objective. What are the things that people are saying about you that they like? What are the things that you know about you? I don't care, just write them all down. Even if it's things like, I don't know, even silly things. As time goes on, you start to realize, okay, maybe I'm good with money, or, I'm very organized, or, whatever it is, you have good points. Look, even a stopped clock is right twice a day. You stop a clock, 10 in the morning is right, 10 in the evening is right. So there's something good about you. You can find it. So love yourself. Love yourself. So moving on, but don't forget to download at the end of this broadcast. Go straight to bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery. Download and leave feedback. Leave feedback in the group. Leave feedback on the site. Leave feedback wherever, so other people can see it and other people can enjoy what you're enjoying too. Okay, so it's a great product. It will bless you a lot. So now I'm moving on to the next point I'm going to make, which is point number 10 of 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. And that is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful things, the most powerful tools for your mental health and your emotional state. One of the most powerful. I dare say spiritual too. Be thankful to God for where you are. You know how I said before, a stop clock is right twice a day? There's something good going on. There's something good going on. I don't care, if you're listening to this broadcast, if you're watching this, you have something good going on. You could be going through a crisis right now. Brother Benga, you're welcome. You could be going, we're talking about gratitude right now. You could be going through a crisis right now, but let me tell you, there is something good going on. Sister Diola, thanks for finding us. There's something good going on in your life right now, but you may have to sit down and think. Especially if you're not used to being grateful. If you're used to complaining all the time, believe me, when you look at a situation, the first thing you see is something to complain about. So I learned this secret very early, at the age of 12. I told you, I was always an introspective kid. I went to boarding school in Nigeria, and in boarding school, we used to be homesick. Oh my goodness. In fact, then when you're a senior girl, if you see a junior girl just standing in the corner crying, and you say, what's the matter? They say nothing. They say, oh my dear, you're homesick. It's okay. Don't worry. You'll be fine. Homesick. I was homesick. I wanted to see my parents. I wanted to see my brother. I didn't want to be there anymore. I was 12 years old. I was supposed to be studying, and I couldn't. So I was sitting in this empty classroom where I'd gone to study, and I was just crying my eyes out. So I wanted to make myself okay. Hello? Is everybody with me? Great. We lost the signal for a second. Whew, I'm tired of these signal things today. But anyway, as I was saying, I was in Nigerian boarding school and I was crying my eyes out. And like I said, watch TV, do what? In a Nigerian boarding school? Are you kidding me? So I decided, okay, what was I going to do to make myself happy? And I started to think, okay, what's going well? So I started to think about everything that I could think of that was going well. Okay, I have 2 parents, and my parents are still alive. I have 2 brothers. I miss them. That means I love them. They love me. I have friends in this school. Okay, I have food. I mean, I started to clutch at straws. And then after a while, I started writing down those things that I was grateful for and things that were working. And I will ask my coaching clients who sometimes, when it's like they've been through this mess, and I'm like, so what is working for you right now? And sometimes it's work. If you're not used to doing it, it's work. So now I have a system where every day I write 3 things I'm grateful for. 3 things. It's in my food journal. So I have to write, if I'm writing my food down, I'm writing 3 things I'm grateful for. Even if it's things like I didn't eat too much today, or I didn't eat chocolate. I write the things I'm grateful for. Whenever I'm down, I get on my write things I'm grateful for. I go to my vision board and I remember things. Gratitude is powerful. Gratitude is very, very powerful. Okay? So, every day, make it a practice. It's not hard, because what that does for you, what does gratitude do for you? It reminds you of what's important. Because if, for example, you've lost all your money but you still have a roof over your head, you'll be like, thank God, at least I still have shelter. But normally, maybe you didn't remember that. A roof over my head, very important. Right? It reminds you of what you have. It reminds you of what's important. It makes you focus on what you have and what is working, and it will change your mindset from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Guess what? When you are grateful for things, when you focus on the positive, more comes your way. Okay? In a state of grumpiness, you focus on lack and you attract it more. It reminds me of this song that says, when upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, and you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings. Make it a habit to count your blessings. Don't just do it when things are going bad. Do it all the time. Do it all the time, and it will become a habit, so that even when things are going bad, you'll be like, yeah, this morning, we were supposed to start this broadcast at 10. I got this fancy software, everything, webcam set to go. I had even done a test a few days before, and everything was supposed to work. All of a sudden, we started the broadcast, there was no sound. I talked and talked and talked for a few minutes before I realized there was no sound. Before someone sent me sound check, oh my goodness. Then I tried starting it again. I went to my computer, fixed some things. Gospel album loading. Okay, let's go. Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm telling you, I was flustered. I was getting more and more flustered by the minute. I tried 3 times with this new fancy thing. I've deleted it from the page already. Then I tried 3 times with the new computer I have, went on Facebook. Boom. The video kept shutting down. I was like, I refused to give in to despair. If it was before, I would have been like, oh, I can't do this. I'd have started crying. I'd have called my husband, who is not here. Oh, my dear husband. God bless him. He was not here. Oh my God, this is happening. I would be panicking. Instead of panicking, and that's another thing I learned from him too, I just started looking, okay, what are my alternatives? And I went back to my good old phone. So now I'm doing my phone. There's no fancy. I had this fancy thing where I was supposed to put the agenda, type in stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, it is what it is. I thank God that my phone is working for this broadcast. That's what I'm thankful for. My computers, they can go and sit down for the meantime. I will fix them later. So count your blessings. It makes you see life differently. So that is that for gratitude. Gratitude is very, very important. And it doesn't even matter what religion or faith you are, gratitude is important. And guess what happens when you're grateful? You will come to realize that is not everything you have that you got for yourself. For example, I say, oh, I'm grateful I'm a doctor. I went to school, I read my books, I passed my tests, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But guess what? If somebody had not paid money, some school fees for me to become a doctor, I wouldn't have. So guess what? As I'm thanking God for being a doctor, I thank God for the people that paid my school fees too. It keeps you humble. It makes you realize that not everything you have, you got for yourself. And when that happens, you're humble, you can be more empathetic to the needs of the people around you. The more grateful you are, the more you'll be empathetic to the needs of the people around you. You're not going to look at it like, oh, that one, when they won't do well, how this not happened to them. No, realizing that on the list of on your gratitude list, half of those things are things that you probably didn't do yourself. Hello. That's it. So, gratitude, and, the rest of the points, in the video, the audio download doesn't have all these stories in it, but each point has a story behind it. And now, moving on, this one is point number 31 in 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. Be happy now, not when. What does that mean? It's something called destination addiction, which can start in childhood. Oh, it's school time. I'll be so happy when it's the weekend. Then, I'll be so happy in summer vacation. I'll be so happy when I graduate from high school. I'll be so happy when I leave college. I can get away from my parents and get a job. I'll be so happy when I get a car. I'll be so happy. I'll be happy when I have a wife. I'll be happy when I have a child. I'll be happy when I get, when I do, when I become. So if you are waiting to become and be and have and do all these things before you get happy, when are you going to be happy? My brother, my sister, be happy now. Now is the time to be happy. Goes hand in hand with gratitude. If you are grateful, you will be happy now. Look, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be a journey. So if you're basing your happiness on your next thing, then you won't be, number one, you won't be happy for very long, because you'll be like, okay, well, I've got this now. I'm happy about it. But Enjoy the journey. The Bible says the joy of the Lord is your strength. Not the sadness is your strength. It's when you face the journey with joy that you have strength to survive the journey. And some of those journeys can be very, very long. I will be happy. Make up your mind. I will be happy now. Not when. Now. Like I said, each of these 50 tips has a story behind it, has something. So please head on over to bit.do/Dr. Shola Life Mastery and download for purchase. This video can't be shared in outside of the group, but please invite people to join the group. We're doing another live event, another go live on Monday. On Monday at 7 p.m. CST. If you're watching the replay, still invite your friends into the group so they can watch the videos and benefit from what you've benefited from. Our next broadcast will be May the 29th at 7 p.m. for another edition, Life Mastery, Balance and Success. Life Mastery, sharing my story, and ongoing launch of 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success. Thank you so much for joining me. If you hadn't come here, it would have just been me talking to an empty room and an empty space. Thank you for, being a part of this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please, if you have comments, if you have questions, if you have, suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Please head over, download your copy of 50 tips for life mastery, balance, and success, and you will enjoy it. And of course, at the next broadcast, we'll be talking about some other tips as well. I'm so glad this went well. I'm grateful that it went well. I'm grateful that I was finally able to do a broadcast after trying 2 different computers, and this one even almost went down. But thank you so much. I pray that God continues to bless you and all of us, and I pray to see you on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye-bye.